You know when a car advert shows you a lifestyle? Who has these lifestyles? Similarly, the new Citroen C3 looks like this on the telly, but there's a good chance that yours will not. Why? Because these ones are top of the range, while the basic ones look like this. Nonetheless, it's the looks that define this car, and if you like the looks, then you're most likely to overlook this car's particular flaws. Flaws like
a driving position designed specifically for people who look like
Alice the Goon.
Conversely, you might see this as all a bit too faddy and something that will very soon look a bit embarrassing for a grown-up to have. Kind of like, this will help us concentrate while I think of something faddy and embarrassing. Anyways, underneath all these air bumps and coloured inserts is a plain small hatchback. The sort of thing you might consider instead of buying, say, a Ford Fiesta or a Vauxhall Corsa. As you can see here, it's priced right in the middle of those two cars. No surprise there really, but again, that money does not necessarily buy you the car you want, the car you've seen in the pictures. Because aside from missing the air bumps and stuff, it's also missing basics like cold air and alloy wheels. For those, you need to move up to mid-spec, from touch to feel. Feel does get alloys and cold air, plus a touchscreen so the cabin starts to look a little bit better. And strangely, feel cars get wider wheel arches. On to the next level then, which is of course called flair. Stroke or sniff would have made more sense, right? It's flare cars that look like the telly ones, with air bumps, a reversing camera, tinted windows, all that jazz. Though for that stuff, you'll pay anything from 15 grand upwards, depending on which engine you have. Speaking of which, there are two, a petrol and a diesel. They both come in various states of tune, as shown here. But what you'll notice is that they're all very economical. Each one of them posts an average MPG rating of above 60 miles per gallon, which is very impressive, especially if you need to offset the price of your television specification car.
So this is by no means your value small hatchback. No, what it is instead is your idiosyncratic one. See, what Citroen has done here is it's taken the formula of the C4 Cactus, very successful formula at that, and it's made it a bit smaller.
But in the C4, there's this sense of deliberate minimalism that serves to distract you from the pockets of subpar quality.
While in here, the minimalism feels less a deliberate style statement and more a necessity of cost. It does look good, it's pretty neatly designed, but the plastic all seems like the same sort of stuff that they use for,
something that's made of really cheap plastic. Really not helping us think this thing at all, you know.
So how does it drive? Well, very similar to every other Citroen, funny enough. A lot like a Mercedes. A Mercedes taxi that's done 500,000 miles.
It's the one and only Digo Double G.
Everything from the steering to the gearbox to the suspension and the feel of the pedals all feels a bit like sloppy and soft and a bit too well worn. I'm pretty sure, right, that everybody that worked at Citroen is below 5.5 foot because they never feel like they're made for tall people. Weird seating position and the pedals are a bit cramped and the bite of the clutch is always too high. Having said that, weirdly, this car is a bit better than the C4 Cactus, whose driving position is just appalling. And if you're not massive, you might actually find this quite comfortable because, again, the suspension's really soft and the chairs are really flat and soft. It's actually designed to be a comfortable car rather than a sporty one. Although that, of course, means that it handles like a bus, which is probably why it's got this massive bus-sized steering wheel. I'm pretty sure, actually, that the centre of gravity for this car is about 5 foot above the roof.
And a couple more weaknesses. Like the glove box is already half full before you've even put any gloves into it. And even though by volume the boot is actually quite big, it's got this awkward shaped hole going into it. And a big drop down to the floor, which also isn't flat when you fold the rear seats down. So the whole thing just seems a bit poorly designed.
And so to the things that this car does well.
like there's plenty of space for 4 grown-ups in the cabin. It has a decent amount of safety kit as standard for a small car too, including lane departure warning, tiredness alert and a bunch of airbags. Sadly, that doesn't mean it gets the full 5-star Euro NCAP rating, it actually gets a 4, albeit its adult and child occupant ratings are actually very good.
It also has a couple of neat things on the options list, like a built-in dash cam up there that you can connect to your phone.
Which is easy to use and a great idea. No more suction cups on the windscreen.
Surprisingly good on the motorway too, because it's quite soft and relaxing and it doesn't have a load of wind noise and stuff like that. It's pretty refined. Really like this engine too. It has that sort of exaggerated growl that 3-cylinder engines have. It's got a really good slug of power, sort of between 3,000 and 4,000 revs. Really kicks on. It's good.
So actually, if you're the right shape for it, will be doing long distances and like the thought of driving around in what is essentially a massive fidget spinner, then this could be the car for you. It's actually a very non-boring small car and we're glad it exists. I mean, imagine if the world was full of Volkswagen Polos. Thanks for watching. Please go to HonestJohn.co.uk for a full review of the C3 and to look at reviews of its rivals. Please subscribe to the channel and share this on Facebook if you liked it. Thanks. Bye.
Stupid screen, man.